This is a regularly scheduled public session of the Woodbridge Board of Education and is in compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975, also known as the Sunshine Law. The meeting has been approved by resolution adopted at the reorganization meeting held on January 3rd, 2022. Notification has been sent to the record. Notification has also been posted in the Woodbridge Borough Hall, the Woodbridge Memorial Library, tapinto.net, and the Woodbridge Board of Education website. Please be advised that all or a portion of this meeting is being live streamed in real time and will be recorded for rebroadcasting at a future date. Roll call.
Mr. Fallon.
Here.
Mr. Garvin.
Here.
Mr. O'Byrne.
Here.
Mr. Vaccaro is absent. Mr. Biamonte.
Here.
Mr. Nieves.
Present. All right, on to presentation, recognitions, and awards. We will start with you, Ms. Kickert, with your student rep report.
So for this month, to start off, this weekend, our track team will be participating in the county meet on Friday and Saturday at Hasbrook Heights. Our spring concert is tomorrow night at 7 in the high school auditorium. The junior and senior prom is being held on Wednesday, May 18th. There will be a show-off at the high school from 3:30 to 4:30. The National Honor Society will be assisting Mr. Rutherford in putting up 1,000 American flags on the front lawn of the high school for Memorial Day to honor all those who served and are no longer with us. The class of 2023 is holding a Chipotle fundraiser on June 1st between 5 and 9:30 p.m. The Leo Club and National Honor Society will also be participating in Keep Woodbridge Beautiful Day on June 6th. That's everything I have for this month. Thank you.
Trustees, any questions? Ms.
Just a
Kickert,
comment. Mr. Rutherford, thank you for doing that every year. It's actually a highlight and seeing it all out there.
Ms. Cricket, what a great job you did, Annie. I must call you out for that. All right, next up, we have the Woodbridge Intermediate School Principals Update. Mr. Lisa. Trustees, we will be projecting, so if we could take a seat. Where am I? That works. We have to come back to it. I mean, Keith, what I would ask is if we could at least, because we're streaming, just to give everyone kind of the highlights and a few bullet points of the things that you were going to talk about. If you could do that, yeah, that's fine. And Keith, if it doesn't go, you could always just highlight, we could go for the next round.
Good evening. I wish to open my report this evening by recognizing the fact that May 8th through May 15th is deemed to be Special Education Week in the state of New Jersey. And I wish to read into the record this evening Governor Murphy's state proclamation that was signed on April 28th, 2022. State of New Jersey Executive Department proclamation, whereas more than 212,409 children receive special education instruction and services in New Jersey's public and private schools, and whereas more than 13,038 children who receive special education instruction and services are enrolled in preschool and early intervention programs in New Jersey, and whereas thousands of parents, teachers, child study team members, and school administrators generously give their time and energy to support the learning needs of students who receive special education, and whereas since 1985, the New Jersey School Boards Association and ASAH have sponsored Special Education Week in New Jersey, and whereas the theme for Special Education Week 2022 is, quote, education, the key to success, end quote, and whereas the public school districts and the private schools of New Jersey make a major contribution to the public welfare by preparing thousands of exceptional persons to participate as citizens of this state and as members of society. Now, therefore, I, Philip D. Murphy, Governor of the State of New Jersey, do hereby proclaim May 8th through May 15th, 2022, as Special Education Week in New Jersey. And this was signed with a seal on the 28th day of April in the year 2022. On behalf of the Board of Education, I wish to acknowledge the chosen theme, education, the key to success, and add to it that we are proud as a district and for our students for making a major contribution to the public welfare by preparing thousands of exceptional persons to participate as citizens of this state and as members of society. We are also recognizing National Nurses Week, May 6th through May 12th. The last day is May 12th, as it coincides with the birthday of Florence Nightingale, who is considered the most pivotal driving force in reforming and modernizing healthcare beginning in the mid-1800s. We appreciate the efforts of all nurses, and most certainly during these incredibly challenging times. Thank you to Mrs. Freshy Sale at the high school, Mrs. Monda and Mrs. Dudsack at the intermediate school, and Mrs. Trevigno at the Doyle School for taking care of our children and staff members. We have a few announcements this evening concerning upcoming school events. Tomorrow evening here at the high school, we will be hosting a combination event celebrating the arts. An art show will take place in our high school building beginning at 6 p.m. We will have posted artwork throughout the building, many pieces of which that will be up for sale with proceeds benefiting the art club. Beginning at 7 p.m. in this auditorium, the high school music department will be performing in their annual spring concert. The junior, senior high school glee club, the senior high school concert choir, and the junior, senior high school concert band will all be performing. We wish best luck to all of our artists in visual and performing arts, and most especially to our instrumental music instructor, Mrs. Baumgartner, who is retiring this year, and tomorrow will be her last spring concert after 20 years of service. Thursday evening, beginning at 7 p.m., the Doyle School will conduct their annual art show. The show is conducted via a museum-like tour where all of the work will be posted in the hallways, and our visitors can simply enter the main entrance and tour the hallways to admire all of the wonderful work created by our students. Good luck to Mrs. Jeffrey and all of her fantastic students. A reminder that the New Jersey State Assessments will begin in various grades this week, as we have also students completing advanced placement testing this week. We have 75 students participating in AP testing in 11 different AP courses, and many students are taking more than one AP test. We wish good luck to our 8th graders who will be attending the Washington, D.C. trip at the middle of this week. We also wish good luck and phenomenal weather to our high school students on Wednesday, May 18th, as we prepare for our prom event, beginning with our prom show-off, which will take place in front of our high school building. The prom is taking place at the Palace at Somerset Park in Somerset, New Jersey, and it is supposed to be very beautiful, a great place to have a prom. Mr. Nieves, that concludes my report.
Postponing?
Okay. Thank you, members of the Board of Education, for inviting me tonight to speak to you about the Woodridge Intermediate School. Just talk about some of the things we have done this year, as well as what we're looking to do in the near future. And I'm sorry, but my presenter is not working, so I have Mr. Rutherford standing by here to just move me along. I'm sure you know about the intermediate school. We are at grades 4 through 6. We currently have 257 students enrolled. We do have several new members of our team that were introduced this year. We have Mr. Joseph Lavelle, our guidance counselor. New to our school, started off in the Doyle School as a music teacher. We have Mrs. Danila Gregory, who transferred over from the Board of Education. She's doing a wonderful job. We have Miss Diana Organowski, who is our behaviorist. Although she is stationed at Doyle, she comes back and forth between the two schools and helps us tremendously. Unfortunately, that's not showing up too well on the PowerPoint, but this is a full listing of our teachers and staff members that are in the intermediate school in the 4th grade. We have Miss Barrows, we have Miss Johnson, Miss Lanfranchi, Miss May, and Miss Romoff. In the 5th grade, we have Mrs. Filiata, Miss Kurieski, Miss Muscle, Mrs. Opito, Miss Palmieri. In the 6th grade, Miss Borelli, Miss Carroll, Miss Koenig, Miss Malta. We have a lovely bunch of paraprofessionals that have joined us this year. Mr. Mays, Miss Gardella, Miss Mealy, Miss Station, and Mrs. Wall. Also in special education in the 5th grade, we have Mrs. Paniotti. Our specialist teachers are Miss Lorenzo. Now, Miss Lorenzo joined us last year in the middle of the pandemic. She teaches world language, specifically Spanish. The intermediate school was thrilled to have her. It was the first time that we had a live world language teacher since I've been here at the intermediate school for about 6 years. Prior to Miss Lorenzo, we were using a program called Proximity, where there was a virtual teacher. And then prior to that, we were using Rosetta Stone. So having Miss Lorenzo in the building has been just been an absolute wonderful addition to the building. Also, our specialists are Miss Rella, Mr. Sturba, and Mrs. Sturba. For speech services, we have Mrs. Pitaro. For medical staff, we have Miss Monda joining us as always. We also welcomed a new person to our school, Mrs. Dudsack, who has been helping us out this year working part-time in the intermediate school. In the child study team, we have our school psychologist, Miss Miller, who does a wonderful job. We have another school psychologist who recently joined us, Mrs. Diaby, and there is our behaviorist that I mentioned before. Mrs. Hammerlin has been working in the intermediate school for a number of years, certainly as long as I've been, but unfortunately we didn't always get to use her in the position that we wanted to. She is a reading specialist by trade, and we're using her a whole lot more in that capacity this year, and we'd like to continue to do so. Again, in guidance, Mr. Lavelle and Mrs. Moore. We do have our school resource officers, Mr. Onembo and Officer Drodis. We're happy to have them in the school. Officer Onembo has become quite involved with our school safety patrol. I was going to talk about it a little bit later on, but I will make mention of it, that we're doing a field trip over to the police station a little bit later in the month for our safety patrol to go meet the officers there and check out the police station. For English language learners, we have Miss Manicone. Administrative assistant, as I said, Mrs. Gregory. Custodial staff, Mr. Martin and Mr. Yarmelli. And another new person to our staff, certainly not new in the district, but Mrs. Campagna was added to our staff this year to work with our Gifted and Talented, our newly formed Gifted and Talented program. She's been doing a great job, and we're looking forward to seeing that grow. Those of you who don't know our schedule, our daily schedule is a typical 8-period elementary school day, which starts at 8:10 a.m. and dismissals at 2:50 p.m. We do 2 45-minute periods, a total of 90 minutes for ELA, as well as 2 45 minutes, 90 minutes of math. That is the state's recommended approach in those areas. We also have a 45-minute period of science, a 45-minute period of social studies, and we tack on our specials, art, music, physical education, health education. They meet twice a week there, as well as world language, our Spanish with our Spanish teacher. And of course, 1 45-minute period of lunch, which students love that the most. I would also be remiss in mentioning that we recently had Take Your Child to Work Day. And I was very happy to hear when my 2 daughters came. My one daughter's in 4th grade, my other daughter's in 5th grade. Both of them got to enjoy the lunch, and they raved that the lunch in the intermediate school was much better than the lunch in their school. I was happy to hear that. Thank you, Mr. Rutherford. Okay, in terms of co-curricular activities, we're always looking to change and grow. These names, these clubs have changed a little bit over the years. We've gone back and forth. Our club is always a very popular club under the tutelage of Miss Carroll. We have our choir, or our otherwise known as our vocal ensemble club. All right, that is run by Miss Mano. She's doing a terrific job with that. We have our drama club, also run by Miss Mano. She's doing a great job with both of those. We have some concerts and some shows coming up that I'll mention soon. We have our journalism club, which has been running for, I believe, about 3 or 4 years now. That's been under Mrs. Diaz. Mrs. Diaz transferred over to the Doyle School recently, but she has still been wonderful enough to help us out and join us with the journalism club. We have our math league club under Mrs. Opito and our safety patrol under Mrs. Johnson, followed up by our student council, which is run by Ms. Koreski. In terms of technology, what we have at the intermediate, come on, Mr. Rutherford. In terms of the technology, what we have at the intermediate school, I'm very happy with our technology. We are, although I guess we don't technically fit the description of what is defined as one-to-one. We don't send students home with Chromebooks, but we have 1 Chromebook for every student in the school. They just don't bring them home. We actually are better than one-to-one in many cases. We have enough Chromebooks for our students and then some. We're fortunate enough to still have a whole bunch of Chromebooks that are certainly outdated at this point, but we rely on them every now and then. That's like another 100 extra on top of the ones we already have. We have projectors in every classroom, document cameras, which our teachers love to use, and brand new teacher-issued laptops, which were given out this year. What's new? Some items that were new here in the intermediate school. We changed some of our drop-off procedures, some of our dismissal procedures, as well as some of our security procedures were changed. A lot of these were changed in light of COVID and in terms of security and in terms of safety. But I will say a lot of them turned out to work out fairly well, and we're kind of sticking with them. Initially, before all the pandemic came about, drop-off procedures where we dropped off through the one door in the front, the main entrance, and the gym entrance in the back. We expanded that over to the cafeteria entrance to kind of spread out the kids, and it turns out we liked how that was working out, so we're probably sticking with that. Dismissal procedures, we always dismissed outside of the back of the building. But the 4th grade teachers, after we changed that a little bit, they got into my head and they said, listen, dismissing out in front has been great. So our 4th grade goes out the front, 5th grade goes out the cafeteria entrance, and our 6th grade goes out the gymnasium entrance. In terms of security procedures in place, obviously during COVID, the pandemic, we weren't really allowing anybody into the building. And I think that, much to dismay of maybe a lot of the parents who want to look around the building and see what's going on, I think it has worked out. It's definitely in the best interest of our students, and it's helping to keep our students secure. Other new items that you see in the school, we have, and I know Miss Schmidt talked about this when she spoke about the Doyle School a while ago. We have Linkit, which is a data repository and assessment tool, which was incorporated into the intermediate school this year. It was incorporated into the 3 schools. So we're using it heavily. It was the first year we were using it, so we only got to use it twice. We do, in the long run, want to use it a total of 3 assessments per year, and it winds up being just a wonderful place to continue to house all the data as it travels from grade to grade with each student. In the old days, teachers used to throw a whole bunch of maybe written assignments or tests into a folder and send it up to the next grade level with those teachers, and they would see it there. In place of that, we have this wonderful software data repository where everything will be able to follow the child from kindergarten up through 12th grade. We could see the growth and potential along the way. Other pieces of software that we've introduced, we introduced eHall Pass last year. I brought that in because I felt it's an electronic hall pass and monitoring system, allows you to track where students are in the building, how many people are in the bathroom, how many people are in the nurse. We brought it in last year for reasons of safety, try to avoid too many people in the nurse's office and in the bathrooms, but we liked how it worked out. It gives us a good way to keep track of students, especially in the event of such things as a fire drill or a lockdown. Maybe some students are out in the hallway. We want to be able to know exactly where those students are, and we can pick them up along the way and take them out. Edmark is a piece of software. It's for some of our struggling readers, which we've introduced at the intermediate school. Also, Brain Pop ELL. We picked that up a few months ago, and our Spanish teacher, who also works in ELL, has been working with that program as well. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Brain Pop. I know it as an administrator, I know it as a teacher, and I know it for my children, and the kids love Tim and Moby. If you don't know who Tim and Moby are, you're missing out. Raz Plus is also it's a leveled reading program, which we've brought in, and also on the right-hand side, world languages, as I've said multiple times, we've brought in live world language here at the intermediate school this year. Other things were new. As I mentioned, we got a couple new counselors. Mr. LaBelle, we didn't have a full-time counselor across Doyle and the intermediate school. Mr. LaBelle has come in. He is currently subbing in his place right now is Ms. Castatelli, if anybody's looking to get a hold of her. We also have our behaviorist, as I mentioned earlier. That's Ms. Organowska. We are using Ms. Hammerling much more in her pertinent role as a reading specialist. So we have that available. We also have a reading specialist down at Doyle, which was mentioned. We have upped our Students of the Month, naming Students of the Month in every grade level every month. We'll be naming our Student of the Month probably a little bit later this week. And of course, we've incorporated the Gifted and Talented program with Ms. Bonnie Campagna, obviously doing a wonderful job. What else is new? Last year, we brought our promotion ceremony to the high school field. At first, I will admit, I was a little hesitant, didn't know how I liked it. Figured, let's be in our home. But kids had a great time. Parents liked it. Didn't have to worry about limiting tickets. Anybody wants to come, come. So we're keeping our promotion ceremony out on the field again. This year was the first year we did a live science fair. We introduced the science fair into the intermediate school a couple years ago. Unfortunately, COVID came about, forced it online. And then given the difficulties with everything happening last year, we let it go for a year. We brought it back this year, and it worked out very well. I saw, I think it was somewhere around 40 to 45 students participating, which in a school of 257, that's pretty impressive. And I saw a whole lot of parents show up. I printed up, I forget how many pamphlets to hand out, and unfortunately, we ran out very quickly. So it was a hit, and we're definitely moving along with that again next year. Just to kind of walk through some highlights, events, and activities in the school year. I'm going to try to go through this quick. I know this is going a little bit long. Mr. Rutherford, you can go ahead. Back in September, we had the Bergen County Food Security TikTok competition, which we participated in. Now, if you did not see our video, I think you really need to see our video. I know the Doyle School won, but I'm very proud of what we put together. All right, it's a very good video. We did a great job. One of our better works. Check it out on our website. You're going to have to scroll way down the bottom. It's on there. But we did a good job. Going into October, we started off with the Start Strong assessments in ELA, math, and science. And that's rather appropriate because tomorrow, Start Strong is coming back. It's not called Start Strong, but it's called the NJSLA. And we are starting that up beginning tomorrow. Notice this has obviously been posted on our website for some time, but it went out as a reminder last week, and we also went out as an additional reminder this evening, starting tomorrow with 5th and 6th grade. Coming along in October, we had our Week of Respect activities. We had our Monday Mismatch Day, our Tuesday Take a Walk Day, Wednesday Inside Out Day, Thursday Anti-Bullying Cake Day, Friday Blue Devil Family Day. All ways to celebrate and recognize those Week of Respect activities. Also in October, the PTA brought back the Scholastic Book Fair. Certainly not just an online event. We made it a live event. We put it into the gymnasium as opposed to the cafeteria. And I have to say that was another thing that it just worked out. It's going to wind up being run in the gymnasium from here on out. The PTA loved it. They did a great job. And it was one of the first times we got to see the kids together in a larger group this year. Also in October, we had Halloween, where the Woodridge Police Department came to talk to our students during Anti-Violence Week. They came right before Halloween to talk to them about various Halloween safety guidelines. They've done this before. They do a great job. Officer Marchitelli usually presents it. We look forward to that every year. Moving on, later in October, we had our student council election, and there are our student council members. They got together for a debate that day, and we elected a president, vice president, treasurer, and I'm blanking right now what it is, but there's 4 of them. Secretary, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Burke. And I think you might recognize somebody in that picture right there as well. Okay. All right. They do a nice job. Our student council participates with lots of events and fundraisers during the course of the month. Our student council also every year sits down and talks to New Way, the operators of our cafeteria, and they kind of give them some ideas, thoughts on the things that they like, things that they don't like, and in turn, New Way may kind of cater the menu a little bit toward them. They actually introduced, we did it a couple years ago, we brought it back again. We did a Jersey Day right around Super Bowl time. On that Jersey Day, we go with, let's see, New Way was serving Taylor ham, some disco fries, good Jersey stuff. Also in November, going up to November, our lead, all right, thank you, Mr. Biamonte, for helping to bring that in as well. Our lead officers came in and started off in November. LEAD is the replacement for DARE. It stands for Law Enforcement Against Drugs. They've been coming in and working with not just our 5th grade as in years past, but they were working with our 4th grade, our 5th grade, and our 6th grade. They finished up, I believe, in our 6th grade this past week. I don't have any pictures, but I know that they did a very, it's the event all the kids love. They call it the drunk goggles, where they bring out these little go-karts in the parking lot, and the kids throw on the goggles, and they can see what it's like to do things you should not be doing. All right. We also, in the month of November, we raised our spirits with our annual turkey trot. We love doing that. And we also had a JDRF charity event where we raised some good money. Moving on to December, PTA is back again. Ran our holiday boutique. Didn't get to do that last year, but they brought it out. And again, we got all of our students out there and gathered together in the cafeteria. It was nice to see it. PTA always does a wonderful job. Also during the month of December, we had our Heroes and Cool Kids visit WRS. Heroes and Cool Kids as it's an organization. It is run by a gentleman named Bruce Harper, a former Jets running back. It's also known, AKA, as the neutral zone, where students from the high school come down to our school and they speak to our students about various social and emotional related issues. Now, just mind you, those pictures were in the right place when this was on a PowerPoint. It went over to Google Chrome, and I don't know why things got flipped. Don't take a picture of that. Throw that picture out. Moving on to December, we did get involved with tree decorations. Our students put together tree decorations for Van Sun Park. We also had our holiday concert. That is Miss Mano's back right there, leading our chorus. Miss Sturba is somewhere in there as well. She was leading our band. We had a good time. And again, I know a lot of schools were still running things virtually. My kids' school, unfortunately, they had a virtual concert. We got them out. We got them live. Moving on to January, our G&T program got underway with Mrs. Campagna. This is the first year we ran the G&T program, so it did take a little while to get it started up. But now that we got the kinks out of it, I know that we're going to get this thing going early on in the 2022-2023 school year. Also on the right-hand side, we had the Easy Ride program, which is a company that's a not-for-profit that is run out of Woodridge. They offered to come in to talk to our students about school safety. And those are the posters. The one on the bottom, unfortunately, is tough to see on the PowerPoint. But the one on the top, those are posters that were created by some of our students that were submitted, and they won little prizes. Moving on to February, we had the American Heart Association, all right, the American Heart Challenge. We raised a lot of money. In the end, we wound up raising almost $5,000 for the American Heart Challenge. We celebrated Black History Month. On the left-hand side, that's actually going back where it's difficult to see, but that is 2 full classes and an all-on tug-of-war in the gym. Couldn't get out to the field. There's no grass, so we got to deal with what we have to deal with. All right, if you go out the parking lot, somebody's going to get scraped up. So we did it in the gymnasium, all-out tug-of-war as part of the American Heart Challenge. Also at the bottom, that was our Rocks and Minerals presentation That was presented and provided by, I should say, by our PTA. Kids love that. In the front, they set up all these little tables with various rocks and minerals, cool looking stuff. And in the back of the room, they set up this large trough where the students will go hunting in and mining. I had several students coming up to me asking if these were diamonds, how much they were worth. I had to disappoint them, I'm sorry to say. March, Women's History Month. We had a fundraiser for Ukraine. That raised $600. On the right, we had Pi Day, 3.14, 314. We have an annual contest where our students try to memorize the most digits of pi. 99 digits this child memorized, 99 digits. Now, that is not the record in the intermediate school. The record is almost, I believe it was over 200 digits. I don't know the exact number, right? But it was between 200 and 300. We also, and unfortunately you're not going to see it, but on my other slide, that one on the left-hand side, that was Mrs. Sturba's class around St. Patrick's Day, teaching them some little Irish jigs. And it was a nice little music and some dancing. Unfortunately, that one's not going to play for you, I don't think. All right. Okay, also in March, this was actually a very cool event. Mrs. Sturba put together our March Music Madness, all right, to go along with the March Madness. Teachers in our school picked their favorite song, and then we had a little contest where the students each day would vote. We'd have songs face off against each other, and the students would vote for their favorite song. I'm going to move on to that in a second, but over on the left-hand side, also March, note that March was SEL Day. Our March Music Madness played into that, but also as part of SEL Day and SEL Month, we had various social emotional learning quotes, words of encouragement, and so on and so forth. You can go on to the next one, Mr. Rutherford. This will kind of give you the whole bracket where our 4th grade, 5th grade teachers faced off against the 6th grade and the specialists. When it all the way came down to the end, and I was going to play the song for you, but it's not going to play. And if you can look real closely in the middle, you're going to see the final winning song, which I would not have picked this for a group of kids this age. The final winning song was Queen, We Will Rock You, which would have been real nice right now. And you're going to wind up having to hit that a couple times to get past that. We're going up against Post Malone, Sunflower. There was a song behind that, so it's taking a little bit to move along. Try it again, maybe. All right. April, American Heart Challenge wrap-up event. All right, we continued it on. Again, final tally was $5,000. Hero and Cool Kids came along, and they presented a second time. Also, I didn't mention, and I really think you should take a look at some good pictures. We have tons of great pictures from our American Heart Challenge wrap-up event. If you want to see any of the teachers as well as myself with pie in the face, that board right there, you stand up behind that, put your face in there, and you get smacked. That board was put together, I believe, by Mrs. Rell, her husband, and some students did the drawing, and all of us got a little chance over the last few years to get pied in the face. I mentioned the science fair as well, so I'm just going to skip on past this. What's coming ahead? Also in May, again, we mentioned we got NJSLA starting tomorrow. All right, my 4th and 5th grade are starting with ELA tomorrow. Math next week for 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. Science the following week with just 5th grade. Full calendar is online. Also, we got our drama play coming up, our spring concert coming up. We're going back to having a nice field day back at the high school again. We have our torch run that's going to be taking place. Check the website for these activities. We're going to have various field trips. Every grade level is doing a field trip. Our 4th grade went to Waterloo last week. Our student council went to MEVO. That's the Mahwah Environmental Volunteers Organization. It's a farm up in Mahwah. They went there last week. Our 5th grade is going to the Tenafly Nature Preserve. Our 6th grade is going to Medieval Times. Our student council, our safety patrol, rather, as I mentioned, is going over to the police station, to tour the police station. We have our normal move-up days, which are going to happen again this year. That's grade 3 coming up to the intermediate school, grade 6 going up to the high school. And, of course, we have our promotion ceremony, which is going to be coming up out on the field. And I do want to thank all of the parents and students for providing me the opportunity to become a small business owner. We got lots of name brand items for less. We have Hydro Flasks. We have North Face jackets. If there are any parents watching, please try to claim these items before they go to Goodwill. All right, we have lots of stuff building up, and we would like to send it off to the proper hands. I believe that is it. You can give it a shot there, Mr. Rutherford. I think that is it. But if you want any other information, please check out our website. I try to keep it updated frequently. I put lots of pictures up there, and there's lots of events coming up in the month or two to come to the end of school. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you, Mr. Lisa.
So needless to say, I love these, right? That everybody's kind of had a turn.
You can be honest. I know it was long. I know it was long.
It definitely was long. But, you know, I mean, having a child in the school, being able to relate to what she actually tells me when she comes home and seeing that up there. I will say G&T was certainly a highlight for me, right? Because it's been something that's been on the radar. Your tenacity for, you know, or your passion, I'll say, for, you know, and speaking to all the different activities, it definitely came through in the presentation. So for that, I was very happy in knowing that my daughter's down at that school with you, at least for another month or two before she moves up. Trustees, anything you want to add to that?
Great job, Keith. Thank you. Good job, Keith.
All right. Thank you, Keith. So superintendent, so approval of minutes. Get back to the interesting stuff, right? Upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education approved minutes of the following meeting, executive and work session meeting, April 25th. Can I get a first? Mr. Garvin, Mr. Fallon, discussion, roll call.
Mr. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Garvin,
Yes.
Mr. O'Byrne,
Yes.
Mr. Vaccaro is absent. Mr. Biamonte,
Yes.
Mr. Nieves.
Yes. Before I go through our committee reports, do we have anything on new business? Nope. Okay, let's change it up today. I'm going to go through the committee reports. We have curriculum and instruction, approval of a new course offering, approval of field trip requests, approval of evaluation requests, approval for related service requests, approval for temporary home instruction and related services, approval of district-wide summer learning acceleration program. It's a revision. Approval of extended school year program, ESY, that's another revision. Approval of out-of-district placements. Personnel, we have acceptance of requests for extension of the leave of absence, approval of personnel appointment, approval of chaperone, approval of appointment of substitute, acceptance of resignation, approval of reappointment of personnel 22-23 Doyle School non-tenured staff, approval of reappointment for personnel 22-23 Doyle School to tenured staff, approval of reappointment of personnel 22-23 Doyle School tenured staff, approval of reappointment of personnel 22-23 intermediate school non-tenured staff. Then we have another reappointment for 22-23 at the intermediate school tenured staff. Then we have a reappointment of personnel 22-23 at the junior senior high school non-tenured staff. We have approval of reappointment of personnel 22-23 at the junior senior high school to tenure staff. Approval of reappointment of personnel 22-23 of the junior senior high school tenured staff. Reappointment of personnel 22-23 part-time nurse. Reappointment of personnel 22-23 tenured child study team. Reappointment of personnel 22-23 tenured child study team, or two tenured child study team. Reappointment of personnel 22-23 district non-tenured child study team. Reappointment of personnel 22-23 non-tenured full-time paraprofessionals. Reappointment of personnel 22-23 non-tenured part-time paraprofessionals. Reappointment of personnel 22-23 non-tenured buildings and grounds personnel. Reappointment of personnel 22-23 non-tenured part-time lunch aides. Reappointment of administrative personnel 22-23. Approval of the reappointment of unaffiliated district personnel 22-23. Approval of the reappointment of our bus driver 22-23, Mr. George Geigengoltz, if I'm saying that correctly. Reappointment of athletic site manager, Mr. Trent Acosti, 22-23. Reappointment of IT assistant, Michael McGeehan. Reappointment of business administrative board secretary, Janine Murray. None for policy at this time. Buildings and grounds, we have one with the approval of facilities request. For finance, we have the approval of a fundraiser, approval of acceptance of donation. And for board operations, we have the approval of an agreement to conduct a demographic study with Statistical Forecasting LLC. For those of you who have come or asked, this has all to do with the census and our school buildings and forecasting. What we're approving tonight is actually quite a tenured person in and of his own self and the work that he's done. So looking forward to this, which I will go out because this is really going to be a 22-23 budget item. We will see the results of that come July or later. Approval of food service management contract for 22-23 school year. Approval of a board member's full page advertisement for the 21 yearbook. Is that correct? The 22 yearbook. So typo there. Approval for attendance of the NJSBA conference in Atlantic City, which would be nice to return to. Approval of the memorandum of agreement for the ARP Homeless Children and Youth Program, ARP HEY2 Consortium. Approval of release management. Approval of delayed opening for the NJSLA administrators at junior senior high school. Approval of an agreement for healthcare staffing services with Home Care Therapies LLC, DBA Horizon Healthcare Staffing, Horizon Staffing Resources. And that is it for tonight. Before I open it up to the hearing of citizens on resolutions only, comments, questions, or concerns from my trustees. Thank you. 3.5 minutes? All right. I'll open, did we have any questions that were submitted online?
No.
No. Okay, so I will open up to hearing of citizens on the resolutions only. No one? No? No? All right. Hearing none, seeing none. Close the hearing of citizens. We are going to, there was a typo and some questions that we had on personnel number 3. So even though I read through it for the purpose of the agenda, that is being tabled and we're not going to vote on that tonight. Trustees, looking for your support, which includes Moonaki. We have curriculum and instruction 1, 2, 3, 6, and 7. Personnel 1, B, and C. 4, 5, 11, A through H. 12, A through D. 13, A through PP. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, all the way through to 27. None for policy. Buildings and grounds 1C, G, and H. Finance 1. And board operations 1 through 8. Can I get a first? Mr. Fallon, Mr. O'Byrne, discussion, roll call.
Mr. Fallon?
Yes.
Mr. Garvin?
Yes, but I'll abstain from Personnel 13O and Personnel 22C, E, and F. Thank you.
Mr. O'Byrne?
Yes.
Mr. Vaccaro is absent. Mr. Biamonte?
Yes.
Mr. Nieves.
Yes. Trustees looking for your support, which is Woodridge only. Curriculum instruction 4, 5, and 8. Personnel 1A and D, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. None for policy, none for buildings and ground. Finance 2. And board operations, none. And at first, Mr. Biamonte. Second, Mr. Fallon. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Fallon?
Yes.
Mr. Garvin?
Yes.
Mr. O'Byrne?
Yes.
Mr. Vaccaro is absent. Mr.
Yes.
Biamonte? Mr. Nieves.
Yes. All right. Anything for communications or unfinished business? No, we're good. All right. So then I'm going to open up the hearing of citizens to anything you want to talk about.
Good evening. Chris Clubb on 185 10th Street. I'd like to know if you have an update on the comprehensive health education curriculum that's required for next year, and if there is going to be a parents consortium regarding
I think
same.
Did you hear? Okay. We did answer that. So you want to talk to what we did last?
Mr. Cleveland, that was discussed at the last meeting, and I'm just I don't mean to sound repetitive, but it's the answer. Right now, since it's hit the press, the state has backpedaled a little bit, and they basically have entrusted the districts that you are in charge of creating the curriculum. So to answer your question, the curriculum will have to be revised to meet certain standards. And when I say certain standards, what was Character education might have been classified to subset B/C. That acronym has changed, so all that has to be revised. And as far as the terminology that's been out in the press, that is entirely up to the district as to whether we're going to, quote, use that or touch that. I would anticipate that our curriculum will remain the same as it is right now, where there isn't any sort of complaint being raised by anyone. And I'm sure throughout the course of the summer, the state will continue to give out more information. What they've said most recently is a reminder that the state does not espouse a certain curriculum, a certain textbook, a certain set of worksheets, et cetera. They basically have backed off a great deal. So to answer your question, the curriculum will be revised for all those matters that I mentioned about earlier. And at some point, we will involve the public to make them aware of any changes that might affect the curriculum.
Okay. Will that be in the summer?
Yes. The
And-
Board of Ed at some point will have to approve the revised curriculum. We have to revise curriculum in about 10 different areas, and comprehensive health and phys ed will be one of them. And at that time, we'll be able to, once the board approves it, it'll be up for public review before the board approves it. And then moving forward, the board and the public will have access to it.
Okay. Will that be all the curriculum amendments?
Oh, no, almost every curriculum is being revised, more so for how we characterize.
But will there be public comment for all the curriculum?
It'll be up on the board
Okay.
agenda and public can comment on it, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Tony. No? All right. Hearing none, seeing none. I'm going to close the hearing of citizens. And again, just to report, there were no questions that were submitted online. Thank you tonight. Thank you, Mr. Lisa. Motion to adjourn. All in favor? All opposed? Close tonight's hearing. Thank you.